It's disgusting. They do it in secret. Guy says ICE is great and all the employees are perfect, then says we have a new ICE director. Wait, why did we need a new director if everything is perfect? Yeah.
Acted by other government organizations, NGO groups. I mean, ICE really is, specifically ERO, they are the experts in detention.
And I want to address one more claim that really, I think, is unfounded, and that is Senator Andy Kim was talking about these detainees are not getting due process. Others have said that. But yet, when I talk to my ICE sources, they say every one of these individuals have gotten their day in immigration court, have gotten due process. What say you?
No, they didn't, because immigration court is also a sham. A lot of people think immigration court is a totally separate entity. It's not. It's a part of the federal government. It's actually not. It's not the same as like the rest of the judiciary, which even then we have a lot of partisanship in all of the court systems because of court packing. Obviously, the Supreme Court being the example that everybody knows. But the immigration court is a part of the federal government, and therefore, all matter of immigration-related incidents and the way that these judges actually look at, is a part of the executive branch. So if the executive branch changes, as it has in this situation with Donald Trump, they change their processing methods as well. Okay? So as a part of the administrative apparatus, when the administrative apparatus decides, no, we're not giving anyone approval, it's basically just a rubber stamp deportation order. People think it's a fair process. It's not.
Well, just because you don't like the result of your case doesn't mean you didn't get due process. And I can 100% say, again, having done this for 30 years, every alien gets due process under the current law that was established in 1996.
Tom Feely, former director of ICE removals in New York. Tom, thank you for your insight. It's so important to bring facts.
Facts.
Well,
so yeah, Andy Kim went on. He's been going to the facilities. He went on Dana Fash and was asked about the conditions inside, whether they were letting him in there or not. And then also on top of that, they were what do you call it? Asking him about Graham Plattner too. They were trying to do a gotcha on Graham Plattner. They've been working fucking overtime, man. It's crazy. CNN has been working overtime on the anti-Plattner tip. And not only that, but they're also are you okay, man? I saw what happened. Wait, what happened? Yeah. Oh, Dua Lipa got married. Fucking asshole. No, I'm not okay. I'm kidding. Okay. I'm happy. I'm happy for Dua Lipa.
When you did this interview with The Bulwark, you said this, quote, "No one who voted for the Laken-Riley Act should have any role in the future leadership of the Democratic Party in this country. It's disqualifying, just like the Iraq War vote." Now, some of the people that voted for the Laken-Riley Act, Ruben Gallego, Mark Kelly, John Ossoff, Raphael Warnock, Alyssa Slotkin, you think all of those leaders should be disqualified from being the presidential nominee of the Democratic Party on that basis?
Well, they should have to explain at least why they voted for it. It was a terrible vote. And I didn't mean to personalize it, but the reality is that it allowed for deportation without due process. And when Trump came in, we had Democrats voting for Laken-Riley. And then you see ICE on the streets engaged in mass deportation, separating kids from their parents. I guess as a son of immigrants, this is very personal for me. I am tired of a Democratic Party that apologizes for immigrants. I'm tired of a Democratic Party that throws immigrants under the bus.
He has every right to say that. Okay. I think a lot of people in the Democratic Party have recognized that factionalism only goes in one direction, or there's only one faction you have to listen to, only one faction that you get your notes from. And that faction is the centrists, the corporate Democrats, the pro-Israel Democrats, right? And now the numbers in the insurgent wing, are growing. Okay? And there is a real crisis within the party. A party that has always maintained this idea of having a big tent, but never really following through on that concept. And the reason for why they've never followed through on that concept is because they've never had to. They've never been challenged like they are right now. What we demand is that the left flank opposition party, fake opposition party, stop being a fake opposition party, but a real one. Okay? It's the ascendant wing of the Democratic Party because it is the wing of the Democratic Party that says no more to corporate sponsorships. It says no more to putting profits over people. Democrats that are frustrated with this reality because, their jobs are going to be threatened, if they're consultants or whatnot, or if their jobs are going to be threatened because they're lobbyists. They hate democracy. That's it. They hate the democratic process. They hate the majority's wishes being enforced by anyone with a position of power. And that's why you hear them punch left all day, every day, at a time when the entire party should be united, when the entire, not just the party, but people outside of the party as well, those who oppose what this fascist administration is doing, those who understand that fascism is here and want to fight back against it, should be united, fighting as a singular force, because we don't have time. We don't have time to engage in factional infighting. Do you oppose fascism or not? And the unfortunate reality is that many people in the center of the party's levers of power, the Democratic parties, they do not oppose fascism. They actually love it, sometimes secretly and sometimes openly. They would much rather protect their comfortable sinecure, their ivory towers, while the rest of the world falls apart. They are not offended by the Epstein class. They're offended by you saying that there is an Epstein class. They're not offended by the fact that we're giving tens of billions of dollars to Israel. They're offended by the fact that you say we shouldn't give tens of billions of dollars to Israel. They're offended at the wrong things. They're mad about the wrong things. Directionally, they're on the side of the fascists. If you oppose the insurgent wing that says we're done with business as usual politics, we're done with do-nothing Democrats, instead of abiding by the wishes of the Democratic majority, then you might as well be siding with the fascists, because that's functionally what you're doing. It's ridiculous. It's disgusting. And hopefully it won't continue.
Let's make sure we focus in on what is really at stake here. It's not about me. It's really about the detainees, about the really on the unsafe and conditions that we're seeing within Delaney Hall. And that's what this has to be about. All of the protests, it needs to focus in on that, not about anything else. When I see this unrest growing, we want to make sure that these detainees are able to get visited by their families, by lawyers. And I was heartened to hear just before I came on here that Governor Sherrill announced that visitation will start back up today. It's the first time in over a week. And these families of these detainees have been just besides themselves that they haven't been able to see their loved ones. But being able to make sure that we're focusing on increasing the medical care.
At most, only 10 to 20 new left-flank congresspeople will be elected this November. How does that change anything if the total number of progressives will still just be a small minority? Great question. Change takes time. It doesn't happen overnight, okay? Last time this happened, you had like 6, maybe 8. This time, it's going to be 20, and probably larger than 20, okay? That's leverage. That's leverage you can use. Fighters who will bring bring salience to real issues, people with actual power. If these guys, if elected representatives who self-identify as democratic socialists, elected representatives that are coming from the DSA system, or elected representatives that want to caucus with DSA candidates, even if they don't self-identify as socialists, if these guys are not a powerful force to be reckoned with at all, why is mainstream media attacking them all the fucking time? The same question I ask anyone that opposes or is skeptical of what I'm trying to do. If that was the case, why is there so much coverage? Why is there endless amounts of negative coverage around myself, the candidates that I work with, every damn day? And not just from the right, not just from the far right, but also from centrist, liberal, center-right think tanks, Democrats, Israel First Democrats, pro-corporate Democrats. Why are they all actively trying to stop this from happening? They see the real threat that sometimes you do not. Because when you elect 20, 30 Democratic socialists in the primaries and you defeat the Democratic Party machine, okay, you cause all of the other already sitting representatives to take notice. You cause them to change their mentality. You cause them to change their ideology, because they, at the end of the day, want to keep their fucking seats. So if you can show the rest of these guys that if they don't actually abide by the wishes of the majority, that no amount of money will save their seats. No amount of money will save their positions. Because right now, in many respects, and this is certainly the case in the Republican Party, money trumps people, okay? Money has the capacity to defeat people-backed movements. On the Democratic Party's primary side, we have seen that people can actually defeat moneyed interests. They understand, those in positions of power understand the genuine threat of a good alternative. That's why they oppose Zohran Mamdani nonstop, and they continue to take pot shots at him until it becomes impossible to do so without incurring some kind of political penalty. Zohran Mamdani is the method in many respects. Although I have my disagreements with him, with the way that he operates sometimes, I feel like sometimes he leads by fear, which he shouldn't, right? But for the rest of the population, they look to Zohran and go, why can't we have that? Why can't we have our own version of this? Why can't my congressperson be exactly like that? Right? And once people start demanding that, once people start demanding their representatives represent them, the ones who are already in comfortable seats will no longer feel so comfortable, will no longer entertain business as usual politics. We'll have to put up a stronger opposition. Okay? That's it. That's how movements grow. That's how you participate in mass politics. I feel like if we can find just 2 or 3 issues that the vast majority of Americans agree upon, then we have the ability to build a much more effective coalition. Data centers, yep, data centers is one of them. Israel's another one. Medicare for all is the third thing. Yes. ICE is another one as well. Yeah. People are united on this stuff. The issue is we don't have a real democratic process. We don't actually run candidates all over the country because it's far too costly. Because as it stands currently, we don't have the organizational capacity. We don't have the logistics to combat the Democratic Party's turnout machine, for example, in the primaries. Housing, labor, yes, yes, yes. All of that.
Where we're getting better food, that the conditions are there. That's where we need to be focused on. It shouldn't be easier for ICE to deploy pepper spray and riot police than to be able to provide medical support as well as better food.
You know, we're seeing these images. I'm hearing what you're saying, which is you're hoping that these things, everything calms down, which is understandable, and focus on where you're trying to focus. But people are looking at these images and thinking of earlier this year in another city. Are you concerned about that?
Oh, I'm hugely concerned. You know, absolutely. I've gotten so little sleep this past week. I mean, this has been, one of the most difficult weeks of my entire life. And again, it's not about me. It's just I am so worried about my state. I've not seen my state with this level of precariousness during my entire time, in elected office. So I'm worried about what comes next. It's uncertain, and I'm hopeful again. The reason why I keep going back to, the detainees and their families is like that needs to be our North Star right now, because I get it. I talked with a lot of people. A lot of people are angry.
They're showing the footage, I think, but they're not actually showing it on screen. So you're just hearing the footage in the background.
Feeling like they're seeing and hearing about things happening on our soil with our taxpayer dollars that is not in line with our values as a nation. I feel it too, which is why I've gone there so many times. So I just urge everyone, please, let us try to do what we are set out to do, which is trying to make sure that there is a level of dignity and decency in this country, and that we can try to make sure that people can get the care that they need, and we can have accountability for what is happening in our name.
The final countdown to the primary elections.
Anyway, closest tears I've ever seen a politician. Yeah. It's devastating. It's disgusting. This clown endorsed AIPAC stooge Grace Meng. When you endorsing Chuck, I don't have a dog in any of these fights. Vote for the leftmost candidate always, okay? Also, you have to remember, a lot of these guys, like what's his face, Menendez or Andy Kim, like these guys aren't always going to be your allies, but in this situation, you have to take whoever is out there fucking, moving the needle with a little bit more grace, okay? This is one of the most frustrating aspects that I hear from the left that will literally go there and be like, well, this guy fucking sucks. Fuck this piece of shit. Yeah, I know. His biggest donor is J Street, Andy Kim's, okay? It's just like, what do you want me to do? Shit on him while he's literally out there at the fucking ICE facility? Yes, there are plenty of issues that I have vehement disagreements with, but in this moment, they're doing the right thing. I'm not going to fucking try to punish them, okay? If you can understand not constantly bringing up Thomas Massey's insane worldview because he's a important advocate for Palestinians and has done a lot of work, tackling the direct links that this administration has to the Epstein class, then you can understand cooperating with Democrats from time to fucking time. I don't get it. There's this weird inconsistency on some of the loudest voices on the fucking left, it seems, on the internet. And I see it maybe too much because it's in my algorithm and it ends up looking like I'm left bashing or whatever. But god damn, dude, I expect a little bit more charity. I expect a little bit more charitability. I expect a little bit more, pragmatism. Use your fucking brain. If you're defending Tucker Carlson as a fucking loyal soldier in the cause, then you can make that same calculation in this circumstance as well. If someone is actually, if someone is actually fighting on this issue, straw manning, yeah, that's what it is. Can we be real for one moment? There are a lot of people who think opposing people like myself or opposing Democrats across the board, even when a Democrat that you don't like, and there's certainly many of them that I shit on with regular frequency, is doing the right thing, and they think that's the peak of activism. And we got to stop that. Okay? Anyone that's participating in direct action, anyone that's actually moving the needle on an issue, recognizing the humanity of those who are detained inside of this fucking facility, is doing the right thing. And until they stop doing the right thing, like you can make that argument for Mikey Sherrill, right? Mikey Sherrill tried to go into the facility. Okay, great. And then what did she do? She turned around and sicked the state troopers on her own constituents that are protesting outside the facility. Up until the moment she did that, you give her grace. When she actually flips it around, you give her hell. That's how this works. There are a lot of people who are skeptical of these candidates who are not fucking with Tucker Carlson either. That's the straw man, no. Oh, maybe. But this is not just about like the hypocrisy of supporting Tucker Carlson and not offering charity or grace. I didn't even bring up Tucker Carlson. I brought up Thomas Massie, by the way. You brought up Tucker Carlson. I was talking about Thomas Massie. And I was talking about my support for Thomas Massie on certain issues, building allegiances and coalitions. Wait, I said Carlson? I might have said Carlson by accident. Sorry. I was talking about Thomas Massie. Apologies. I said I have supported Thomas Massie in his fight against the Epstein class, in his fight against Israel, right? And as far as giving grace to people on certain issues because they're doing a decent job on those issues, like Tucker Carlson, okay? This time I'm using Tucker Carlson. It's the same. And if you don't give grace to either, even if you find yourself to be fucking consistent, you're stupid. Like, do you understand? Like, if you're like, well, I'm actually the most morally pure person. Okay, well, then you have you're behaving with no stakes. You're acting as though we have the numbers already to just like fucking cast aside people. You know what I mean? This is not, a lot of people think like, oh, I'm morally consistent and therefore I'm the best. Well, sometimes you have to be pragmatic. And constantly trying to gatekeep certain movements that require mass politics is insanely stupid. How does this not contradict with you saying vote for the leftmost candidate? What? Okay. Viewfinder Praxis. You literally said Steyer is the most viable left candidate. Robinson literally was in the streets with protesters when Renee Nicole Good was murdered. So was I. How was supporting Steyer supporting the leftmost candidate? Viable leftmost candidate is what I said. Viable. You chose to delete that word because viability is not something you care about. It's something I care about. Maybe you don't care about it, and that's fine. We have a disagreement there, right? But you're a 15-month subscriber. I'm fairly certain you already know what my worldview on this kind of stuff is. Glad I listened to the pragmatist for... Is it pragmatic for Charlie to keep trying to kick the football? The beatings will continue. Give them grace until Gaza's leveled. Did I say that? Give them grace until they pardon Trump. Did I say that? Did I say that? Did I say any of those things? When I say be pragmatic, I'm not saying, oh my God, vote blue no matter who. Oh my God, vote for Kamala Harris. That's what you're hearing. I'm saying that even if someone is doing that, even if someone is a fucking annoying centrist Democrat, if they're actually trying to get into that facility, I think in that moment, it's good. Okay? They're doing the right thing, and they should actually be celebrated for doing the right thing in that moment. Why is it that many of you want to argue with the demons in your head instead of argue with the fucking argument that I'm representing? Give them grace. Got it. Oh my God. Oh my God. I am in the dumbest timeline. I'm done. I can't do this. Dude, just be moral. Be the most moral person you can be. Okay? Fuck it. Let's kill all the fucking people inside of these concentration camps, and you can just sit there and be moral about it. Okay? My point about pragmatism and fucking organizing is literally the opposite point, okay? These are real crises taking place right now. Real crises like the genocide in Gaza. We don't have time and the opportunity to just be like, meh, I don't care. And many of you understand that when it comes to building allegiances with like the most radical right-wingers on this particular issue. But when it comes to annoying centrist Democrats who are also in support of Israel on this issue alone, on this issue, if they're going into the ICE facility, if they're demanding changes within the ICE facility, if they're demanding that the Delaney immigrant protesters' needs are met, then yeah, I'm gonna fucking say that's a good thing. You're doing a good thing. Okay? Have some fucking nuance, please. Shove it in your brains. I don't understand where this kind of mentality comes from. People forget that you're one person, that you can't be in every single race. You have to pick and choose your battles. If there's a candidate you really feel is like a viable door knock and organize for them, don't just wait for Hasan. Yeah, that too. Oh. We have to be united, man. What's with longtime subs becoming extremely annoying and purity spiraling? It's normal. It happens all the time. It happens I mean, look, I think it comes from a place of recognizing how devastating the realities are, recognizing your sense of powerlessness. It's the one last bastion, one last gasp before you give it up entirely. It's a place of hopelessness where you go, you know what? I can't move the needle on anything serious, so I'm just going to fucking talk shit in a Twitch streamer's chat. I feel like it's happening a lot more lately. I know. What is actually kind of crazy to me is that this is a very interesting moment. It's a very interesting moment in terms of like opportunity, in terms of actually making some changes. And I do notice that people get far louder I do notice that people like that get far louder when there is some change happening, but it's not fast enough, right? It's not significant enough. I don't understand how people can look at the current predicament, look at how devastating the reality actually is on the ground for so many of these people, what their everyday conditions look like, and say, fuck it, I'm giving up. I think that's all this is. I think it comes from a place of drowning in the indecency. Because if you're a kind person, if you're an empathetic person, and Don't become bitter, man. I think there's valid criticism and we can have a conversation as a community. Don't condemn old subbers. Also, that's why I don't subscribe to not heel turn. I'm not condemning old subscribers. I'm criticizing the old subscribers for behaving like petulant children. Instead of expressing solidarity when it's necessary, they turn the crosshairs on those who are closest to them, those who are ideologically closest to them, and decide that their ideological allies, people like myself, or even people who are closest to them that are running, are the actual immediate enemies. Instead of going out and bringing more people to the cause, they choose to fucking turn the crosshairs on people that are closest to them. It doesn't make any sense. I don't understand it, and I will never understand it. But I think the major difference that I have internally is that I always maintain hope. I look to gains, no matter how marginal, no matter how small, as a way to feel a sense of hope, to keep revolutionary optimism in the face of all of this devastation. Sometimes you got to suck it the fuck up, man. That's it. This is part of the reason why the CIA doesn't have to actually fucking infiltrate these movements at all, by the way. It's on fucking autopilot at this point. The only thing I can do is show you the fear that centrist Democrats have in their hearts, in their eyes, in their minds. The real fear that they have towards their left flank. And if you can't stand up for people on that left flank, then you might as well be siding with these centrist operatives. And many of you don't see that. If these centrist center-right operatives that are still maintaining control over the opposition party and the opposition movement in its entirety are actively coalescing around Republican fascists, and that doesn't ring alarm bells in your mind, and you say, no, we got to hand it to them, they're right on this issue, they're right this time, then you're basically an inadvertent servant of fascist collaborators.